Hello, friends, and thank you for tuning in to our broadcast today. In a few moments, we're going to take you into a live session where Bishop Wayne was teaching a message designed to feed your faith and to elevate your understanding. We invite you to join in as if you were here in person and to light up the chat box with your comments and confirmations. This hour of power is your time to recharge, to renew, and even to reset your mind for a life of purpose, passion, and power. At the end of this message, we have an important announcement for you. So do stay tuned. But now let's go into the hour of power with Bishop Wayne Malcolm.
Here we go. So last week we started an amazing session on emotional intelligence, in which we fundamentally looked at why emotional intelligence is important. And just to give us a few reminders, we asked the question, why emotional intelligence? And we gave 4 specific answers. Number 1 is that IQ is not the best success indicator. And of course, years ago in our education system, and in many places still today, IQ is used as a success indicator, and it's used to categorize and label students and to earmark students for further education. What we've since discovered is that your emotional quotient, your emotional intelligence, has more to do, has a greater impact on the outcomes of your life than does IQ, and that many people who go on to higher education end up working for someone who fell out of the system. And this is not in any way a knock on higher education. I think higher education has quite an important role to play, and for some people, it will be the critical success factor for them moving forward. But for those who are left behind, I want you to be encouraged that you can still go on to create massive value in the marketplace as an entrepreneur or as a significant contributor to the commercial conversation based on your EQ. We talked about the fact that the true success formula is fundamentally relational and not technical. And that means that, fully 80% of your success in life and business will be relational, whereas only 20% will be technical. In other words, you can be technically brilliant, you can be technically skillful, and still not get ahead in life if you don't know how to win friends and influence people, and if you are not good at creating and sustaining meaningful relationships in the workplace and in life. We talked, number 3, about your state determining your performance, that peak performance is reflecting or the result of a peak state, and why it's important to be in state so that you are performing with confidence, without fear, not second guessing yourself, without the interferences of self-doubt, etc. And then perhaps the most important reason why emotional intelligence is a critical success factor is that success is a jagged line. It's not it's not just a straight road to success. Actually, sometimes it's 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards, or it's 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards. And you have to learn to deal with difficulty, with setbacks, with failure, with discouragement, with criticism, with sabotage, with rejection and abandonment. You have to be able to deal with those things in order to survive the success journey. And that is not something they teach you at school, typically. This is emotional intelligence, which we are teaching to our students at ICANN Global Academy. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to take that discussion a little bit further, and we're going to look at the power of distortions, the power of distortions. And we're going to discuss several points here. Number 1, what are distortions? Number 2, why do you see things the way that you do? We're going to talk about the map versus the territory. We're also going to look at 6 common distortions. We're going to help you to identify your distortions, and we're going to look at questioning your distortions. So I want to start with a quote, and it's a quote by me. However, I probably heard it somewhere at some point, so I'm not claiming exclusivity with this concept. But the quote is written in my course and work on emotional intelligence, which those people who are subscribers to our academy on the personal development level will eventually get a course entitled Emotional Intelligence, and this quote will appear. And it simply says, you never really see the world the way that it is. You only ever see the world the way that you are. Wow. You never really see the world the way that it is. You only ever see the world the way that you are. And I suppose what this means is that your interpretations, your perception of what is going on, your particular filters, your lenses through which you view the world, and your personal hermeneutic. Hermeneutics literally means the rules of interpretation. So there are biblical hermeneutics. So when you're studying the Bible, you approach the Bible with a set of presuppositions. You study it within a framework, and you have rules for interpretation. Those rules, the rules of interpretation, are called hermeneutics. And when it comes to life, we have our personal hermeneutic, and these are the rules for interpreting things that happen to us, things that happen for us, things that happened around us. And based on those rules, we are seeing the world the way that we are. The conclusions that we draw from our experiences say more about us than they do about the experience itself. And I suppose that's what we're going to dive into tonight, is the process by which we interpret things that happen to us. Okay, so someone said something, one person takes it as an insult, is offended. Another person sees it as perfectly innocent, takes it as a compliment. Why is that? The difference between the insult and the compliment is the personal internal rules for interpretation. So that we're never really seeing the world the way it is. We are actually seeing the world the way that we are. And this means that if we change the way that we are, because that's what we can change, the only thing we have real power over is our own mind, our perceptions, our lenses, our filters, our hermeneutics. We have power there, and we can actively, proactively change our filters and our lenses. And the way that when we change the way that we look at the world itself will change. The world will change because we are seeing it from another perspective. We're seeing it through another set of filters, another lens. And this is not just dealing with the world in a macro sense, but in a micro sense. The way you're seeing someone in your life. It could be your manager, your boss. It could be a subordinate, could be a colleague, could be a personal relationship, could be domestic. But the way you're looking at a person is determining very much what you see. And if you change the way that you look at them, then they are going to change, because you never really see the world the way that it is. You only ever see the world the way that you are, which is why two people can observe the same thing and draw entirely different conclusions. You know, a useful illustration is what I call the car crash illustration. And this is where, you survive a car crash. So if you survive a car crash and you walk out of the car, your bones are not broken, your limbs are intact, you're fairly intact. There's two ways to look at that. You can say, why me? Or you can say, thank God. Why me or thank God? And so it's the same experience. One person gets out of it and is angry with God, angry with life, angry with people, drivers, themselves. Another person gets out of it and they're grateful and they're saying, my God, this could have been so much worse. Only God could have saved me. Angels were on my side. This is because I'm on the brink of a breakthrough. What's the difference in the feeling? The difference in the emotion is the interpretation, the meaning that's been given to that event. And so it's not the crash that changes your life. It's the meaning that you give to that crash. It's the way you interpret it, the way you process it and give it definition. So let me explain in more detail why we don't see the world the way it is, but we see the world the way that we are. And it's because, as we've just highlighted, number one, we interpret our experiences. Experiences have meanings, and without meaning, we don't know what to feel. This is really powerful, and it's a great key to understanding emotional intelligence. It's somehow detaching the event, the experience, what happened, what is happening from your interpretation of it, your translation, your conclusions. And it's understanding that your feelings, how you're feeling right now, is not coming from what you're experiencing. It's coming 100% from your interpretation of the experience. Like I said, you can get out of a car crash feeling grateful, or you can get out of a car crash feeling angry. It's not the car crash that determines your feelings. It's the meaning that you gave to that experience that interpreted, that determined how you're feeling right now. So experiences have meanings, and without a meaning, we don't know what to feel. And some of you may have been through a situation where you literally don't know what to feel. Something has happened. You're not sure whether you should be happy about it, sad about it. You're not sure whether you should be angry. You're not sure whether you should be grateful. You're not sure whether you should be fearful or optimistic. You just don't know how to feel about it. And the reason you don't know how to feel about it is that you haven't quite given it a meaning yet. Because feelings come from meanings. They don't come from events. That's an important statement. If we were live together, I'd want you to write that in the chat box. Feelings come from meanings, not from events. Feelings come from our interpretations of experiences, not from the experiences themselves, which is why two people can go through the exact same experience. Now, as a pastor, it's been humbling to walk with people through some of the deepest valleys that life can offer. Terminal illness, etc. And I've been able to observe two types of people: those that are extremely angry and those that are extremely grateful. The difference is not the illness, it's not the diagnosis. The difference is how they're processing that information, what they're thinking about it, the meaning they've attached to it, their interpretation of it, which is guided by their own personal hermeneutic. And I have no idea how I would be in a situation like that, but I know how I'd want to be. And I think we can all agree that we would want to be able to find peace in any valley that we pass through in life. And understanding that it is not the valley that creates our feeling, it is the meaning, the interpretation of the experience that actually creates the feeling. So that's why number 2 is important. It's because we are the masters of meaning. We are the sole architects and creators of our own subjective experience. What I mean by subjective experience, I mean what we are experiencing inside, not what we experience outside, but what we are experiencing inside. Not of the car crash, but of how we are reacting, responding, interpreting that crash. We are the sole architects and creators of our own subjective experience. We are the masters of meaning. That means that we can decide what an experience means to us, Okay, what does it mean to me? Is it even important to me? Number two, what it means for us. Okay, what are its implications for me? And number three, what it says about us. And often, the negative feelings, the destructive feelings, the distressful feelings are coming from meanings that we give to experiences about us. And so someone rejects you, and the feeling is, okay, well, what's wrong with me? And then the associated feelings come with that. We are abandoned in some way, betrayed in some way, sabotaged in some way, and we interpret that as meaning something about ourselves. We know what it means for us, we know what it means to us, but we get quite distressed when we think of what it's all saying about us. Well, the truth is that we are the masters of meaning. We are the sole architects and creators of our own subjective experience. And the more that we realize this is the more emotionally intelligent we're going to become. Because we'll begin to say to ourselves, actually, I don't have to feel this way. Whatever I'm experiencing right now, I don't have to feel this way. I'm feeling this way because of the meaning that I've attached to this experience. But I have the power to change the meaning. And this goes on to point number three, that the map is not the territory. This is a powerful phrase that's used in modern and popular psychology. And it's a very powerful phrase that I picked up when I was studying NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, the new science of success, modeling the mental maps of outstanding achievers. And this is a phrase that came up over and over again. The map is not the territory. So what that means is that if you have a map of London, okay, in your hand, you don't actually have London in your hand. You have a sketch, a drawing, or a representation of London. If you have a map of London in your hands, you don't have London in your hands. Nobody lives in the map. Nobody works in the map. There's no cars driving in the map. There's no tubes running in the map. It's a sketch, which means it's an artistic representation of a broader territory. And in your mind, all you have is a map of your experiences. So in our minds, we subjectively map or sketch or represent the territory, which is our objective experience. So, someone cuts you up on the road while you're driving. One person is going to say, God help him, God bless him, thank you for keeping me. And they're going to keep their equilibrium, they're going to keep their peace, their status, and they're just going to keep on going and flowing in life. And they're going to get to their destination without an interrupted spirit. And another person is going to get angry, is going to see red, is going to want to commit murder, and they're going to wind down the window and say something and all this. Now, why? They have confused the map with the territory. So there's an experience that they had, and their interpretation has created a subjective experience. And the subjective experience is their map. It's not real, it's a representation. The objective experience is real. The map is an artistic impression. So you don't act on the map. Instead, you try to make sure that the map is an accurate reflection of the territory. You don't go ahead and act on the map. The truth could be that this person is in distress, having a stroke, having a heart attack. The truth could be that this person has had very distressing news and is unable to focus. The truth is that this person may be in a life or death situation. You don't know the person's situation, yet your map is telling you what the situation is, and therefore creating an emotional response. Your map is telling you that you're being disrespected, that you are being dishonored, that you are being abused, and therefore you are reacting to your interpretation of the experience, not the experience itself. Number 4, we often jump to conclusions. Every single one of us, we jump to conclusions. And I love that phrase, because to jump means that you're jumping over something. And often we are jumping over logic, we're jumping over reason, we're jumping over evidence, we're jumping over common sense, and we're jumping over the facts in order to reach a conclusion that is illogical, unreasonable, unsubstantiated, non-credible, but we've reached that conclusion and we've jumped over all the facts, all the evidence, all common sense to reach an illogical conclusion, which has inflamed the worst emotions in us. So, you see someone on the phone and you jump to a conclusion about who they're talking to. You overhear a conversation and your name is mentioned, you jump to conclusions about what they're saying. Many things happen in life and we jump to conclusions and we get in an emotional state, or a disempowering emotional state, a distressing emotional state, without any fact, any evidence, any common sense, any reason, any logic. And tonight, I want to explain why that is. If you're interested, I want you to get excited right now. If we were live together, I would ask you to say, I'm interested, in the chat box. Just before we go into the whys, let's just be clear about the map and the territory. The map is our subjective or internal experience. It's the meanings, the interpretations, the lessons we've learned, the conclusions we've reached. That's the map. That's an artistic representation. That's an artistic conceptualization. The territory is our objective experience. What actually happened, what is actually happening, what was actually said or done. It is external stimuli. It's something that's happening outside of you. So what's happening inside of you is not the same as what's happening outside of you. What's happening inside of you is not the result of what is happening outside of you. It is the result of a meaning you have attached to what's happening outside of you, an interpretation, a hermeneutic by which you have interpreted what is happening outside of you in a very distressing way that causes you distress, that activates and even inflames your worst emotional state. And some people can stay in that state for days, even weeks, and unfortunately, I've seen people in the state for years of their life, thinking that the territory or the experience has caused their feelings. What has caused your feelings is your map of that territory. So I got another quote in the course, which is part of the personal development package. It says, the most important change you could make to the way you think is to identify and question your own distortions. Your own what? Your own distortions. It's an important change to make in the way that you think, is to identify when you are distorting things and question your own distortions. This means that your own values, what's important to you, your beliefs, what you feel certain of, your convictions, your goals, what you're aiming for in life, your drivers, what is motivating you, and your own rules, the standards by which you operate, they all serve to distort your perception of reality so that you are always seeing the world through your own filters. Okay? They distort your perception of reality so that you're seeing the world through your own filters. For example, if something is really important to you and somebody else acts in a way that it's not important to them, then you are interpreting their actions through your filter, the filter of your values. When you have certain beliefs about what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, what's helpful, what's unhelpful, you've got these beliefs. somebody acts in an unhelpful way, in a bad way, in a wrong way, you assume that they have the same beliefs. And what you do is you are reacting to your distortion about what is normal. So a good example here is, you get in a lift and you're in the lift and someone else gets in the lift and you say, good morning. And they say nothing back to you. Now, for some people, that's enough to ruin their day. But it is not the experience that ruined your day. It's all the meanings that you attach to that ruined your day, that activated and inflamed your worst emotions. The truth is that person could be absolutely hypnotized by the worst possible news that they've just gotten before they stepped into that lift. The person could be so lost in their own focus of their own universe, of their own world, that they can't even hear you. And even though they can physically hear you, they don't actually understand that you've just been nice to them. You don't know why the person didn't say good morning back to you, but your filters tell you they're rude, they're uncivilized, they are antisocial, they are. Where is your they are coming from? It's coming from your distortions about facts, about reality, about the objective world. And so we are always seeing the world through our filters, and we become emotionally intelligent when we realize that there may be another meaning to what has just happened here. This doesn't have to mean what I think it means. It could mean something else. And that way we don't get upset. When you meet rude people, antisocial, dismissive people, it's always a very unpleasant experience. But you get to decide whether that ruins your day, whether that dominates your thoughts, whether that changes the flavor of your tea, whether that upsets you. You get to decide that. And you decide that based on your rules for interpretation. And so you're emotionally intelligent when you say, actually, this has nothing to do with me at all. They don't know me to like me or dislike me. There is something going on in this person's universe, this person's world, and they are dealing with their own world. This is a reflection of who they are, not a reflection of who I am. And then you're able to get out of the lift or carry on with your day, focused on what's important to you, with great feelings and great emotions, because you haven't taken this on board as some statement about yourself and your worth. Really, it's not always about you. So what I want to deal with now is 6 common distortions. Now, in the actual course, we give 12 distortions, but what I'm going to deal with now is 6 of the most common. And we're going to go through them, and we're going to deal with them right now. So starting from the top left, the first common distortion is all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking. This means seeing events in extreme terms and allowing no room for shades of gray or middle ground. Okay? So when a person is practicing all or nothing thinking, things have to go for them extremely right or extremely wrong. But in reality, things seldom go absolutely extremely right or absolutely extremely wrong. Things improve, things get better, and if you are not distorted in the way you're looking at it, you can say, okay, look, we're moving in the right direction. We've got room to improve. There are some lessons we can draw from this to make the next run better. And you use that to fuel good emotions that get you ready for the next attempt. Whereas a person who is Distorting the situation is saying, okay, well, that didn't work. Therefore, we're never going to try it again. We are going to abandon the whole project. I feel sick. I feel angry. I feel disillusioned. I feel defeated. I'm feeling, a sense of despair and hopelessness. And I just don't even want to be in this field because I don't like the way I'm feeling. Now, what's happening is you're distorting. And it's a common distortion, which is all or nothing. It's a common distortion. It's not helpful on the success journey, which is a jagged line. It is not a straight line. And people who practice all or nothing thinking find it very difficult to pick themselves up and to keep on going and to give it another try, because for them, every goal, every target, every phase, every task is all or nothing. Likewise, someone absolutely likes and accepts you in every conceivable way, or in your mind, they hate you because you are all or nothing. But life doesn't actually work like that. There's no one in your life that you think of that way. So it's a distortion, and it generates, it activates, and it inflames the worst emotional state. Number two, moving over, top middle, magnifications and minimizations. This means exaggerating the negatives and minimizing the positives. And I guess we're all guilty of this at some point in life, where, there are things that went well and there are things that went not so well. In a perfectly balanced state, it means that we have room to improve. But when a person is magnifying what went wrong and minimizing what went right, they are distorting the facts, jumping to conclusions, jumping over the facts, jumping over common sense, jumping over the evidence, jumping over the testimonials, jumping over everything to reach an illogical conclusion that is distressing them and putting them in an unresourceful state. What is helpful to do is to look at, the positives, look at the negatives in perspective, not magnifying the negatives, minimizing the positives. Positives, are worth magnifying, as are negatives if you want to make a change. None of it is worth minimizing. We go on to the third one, personalizations. This is tragic. It's sad to see, but it happens all the time. This means taking valid comments as personal insults, or blaming yourself for something you could not control. This is a classic distortion that causes you to see the world and interpret your experience in a way that defeats you. It's self-defeating. It's not self-empowering. It generates, it activates, it inflames the worst emotional states when you personalize things that are not personal. So if someone makes a valid comment or a constructive criticism, it's not because you're worthless, and it's not because they hate you. It's not because you need to abandon ship. It's not because you're in the wrong place and on the wrong team. Actually, it's important that whatever team you're on, people are able to make constructive analysis of your performance, comment constructively, critique constructively, and help you to improve. If you are the kind of person that personalizes those things, you'll never sustain a coaching relationship. You'll never sustain a mentoring relationship, because sometimes your mentor will have to become your tormentor in order to get the best out of you. You'll never improve your performance because you surrounded yourself with people who complement all the time. There is no way of knowing if you have room to improve because you surrounded yourself with yes people who are complimenting you all the time. And the reason you've done that is you personalize valid comments, constructive criticisms, you take them as insults, or you blame yourself for things you could not control. So there are things that are happening beyond your control, and you are now cursing yourself. You are you are degrading yourself. You are speaking of yourself in ways that no one should speak to anyone. You're thinking of yourselves in ways that no one should think of anyone. And you've done this because you've personalized this, because this failure says something about you. Let me tell you something about failure. Okay. I think it's Winston Churchill who said that success is about failing over and over again without losing your enthusiasm. Without losing. Now, the only way to do that is to put a difference between your failures and your self-worth. Jim Rohn said, failure is an event. It's not a person. The fact that you failed doesn't make you a failure. You have to be the person who says, I failed because I tried. What I tried didn't work. I, who am a success, will try something else. That's a healthy way to think. An unhealthy way to think is, well, it failed. I'm a fool. I look like a fool. Everyone thinks I'm a fool. I should never have tried this. I don't want to do this again. What's happening? You're personalizing and you're distorting reality. And that lens, that filter through which you're seeing the experience is creating in you a subjective nightmare, a subjective tsunami, a subjective whirlwind, a subjective volcano, a subjective earthquake. Pure devastation is happening inside of you and you're devastated, not because it failed, but because in your mind, you are a failure. And that's how everyone's looking at you, and that's how everyone's thinking of you. That's a distortion. You have to learn. You actually, in life, you win or you learn. Failure is really feedback. And I believe it's Thomas Edison who invented the electric light bulb after 10,000 failed experiments, documented failed experiments. And what he did, as John Maxwell in his outstanding book, Failing Forward, did, what Edison did was he failed forward. So he took each failure as feedback. He drew lessons from it as what to do differently, but he did not associate a failed project with a failed person. Oh, glory to God. I just feel like just rolling in the spirit here today. I'm ministering to someone in the prophetic right now. A failed project doesn't equal a failed person. Okay, failure is an event, not an experience, not a person. So we go down to the bottom left, emotional reasoning. This is another sad thing to say. And that is believing that something is true just because you feel it strongly. Listen, this borders on a personality disorder, which is a form or early stage mental illness and mental health problem. Personality disorders. It borders on a personality disorder when someone is treating you in a certain way because they feel, and no evidence, I just feel like you're against me. I just feel like you're a bad person. I just feel like you're here for no good. I just feel. That's a distortion. You don't want anyone doing it to you, and you don't want to be doing it to anyone. You don't want to be reasoning emotionally and thinking, who's she? Who's he? Why is he here? I don't know what it is. I just don't like him. I don't know what it is. He's just up to no good. I don't know what it is, but he has an agenda. I don't know what it is, but and let me tell you something. Stop spiritualizing that. Stop blaming the anointing and the Holy Spirit on your personality disorders, which is your lack of emotional intelligence. That instead of finding out who a person is, engaging them in conversation, getting to know them, who they are, what they're about, they could be shy, they could be fearful, they could be having all kinds of emotional challenges just connecting with you, connecting with the group. And here you are putting up walls and barriers with no facts, no evidence, just decided that they're bad. Let me tell you, Jesus said, do to others what you would have done to yourself, and not one of us would have that done to ourselves. That is a distortion. Next, middle column, bottom row, mind reading. This is another sad, again, this is something that many Christians spiritualize and claim it to be the gifts of the Spirit, or what they call the gift of discernment, of which there is no such gift in the New Testament. The gift is called the discerning of spirits. And what people do is they say, well, I have the gift of discernment as opposed to discerning of spirits, which is a gift that enables you to discern what is the source of a phenomenon, whether it's coming from God, whether it's coming from the devil, whether it's coming from a human spirit. You get to discern the source, the discerning of spirits. Instead, they say, I have the gift of discernment. And what they do is they believe they know what other people are thinking. Okay? Believing that you know what other people are thinking about you. And we often call that gift of discernment. Sometimes we spiritualize it, and some people don't spiritualize it. It's just their journey towards a full-blown personality disorder. It's a distortion in which they think they know what you think. And sometimes they'll tell you, well, they'll say, well, look, I know what you think. I know what you're thinking about me. I know what you think about me. How do you know what anyone thinks about you? How really do you know? You don't know. You think you know because of a distortion. And then your barriers are up. Your defenses are high. You make it impossible for people to connect with you. You make it impossible for you to connect with people because you're telling yourself, I know what you're thinking. And in many cases, you don't know. Okay, so you got it right once or twice. It's still a distortion. It's not based on logic, reason, common sense, or facts, or evidence. It's based on your thinking, you know what someone's thinking. One of the worst manifestations of that, when you think you know what someone's thinking about you, is that you don't actually hear what they're saying to you, because you're translating what they're saying to you to fit the narrative that you have created about them. So, they'll say, well, you said so-and-so, it's like you're trying to say, reading between the lines, what you're saying is no. And reality is, when someone is like that in a relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a professional relationship, where they're constantly telling you what you're thinking and they're constantly telling you what you're saying between the lines and what you're trying to say, is they are telling you more about themselves than they are about you. These are their own distortions. This is the lens through which they are viewing reality, and they think it's real, but it's not real. It is your map of your territory. It's not the territory. Woo! That's a good teaching. Let's go over to the final one, which is overgeneralizations. Overgeneralizations. This means drawing sweeping conclusions based on a single event. Sweeping conclusions based on a single event. Now, how that begins to manifest itself typically is, you always do this. You always say that. Question, always? Really? They don't like me. They? You mean everyone? Everyone doesn't like you? Who is it really? When you break it down, it's one person. Every time I do that. What do you mean every time? Really? Is it every actual time that you do this? What everyone is saying, well, everyone? Is this everyone? Who's everyone? These are overgeneralizations. They are distortions that generate, activate, and inflame the worst emotional states. And when you are viewing an experience through a distortion, you will eventually you will feel the emotional distress and discomfort and disease. But worse than that, you'll begin to act out that emotion and make decisions based on a distortion, decisions that you will regret, sometimes within 24 hours, but decisions you will ultimately regret. Because as time goes by and the clouds go away, you start to realize that this didn't necessarily mean what I thought it meant. There's another way to look at this. Okay, so here we go. Our distortions lead us to jump over a great deal of logic, common sense, and experience in order to reach extreme conclusions, which in turn create a difficult and self-defeating emotional and behavioral response. It's a powerful quote from the actual course. Really, really great stuff. And that's the simple fact. And that's why we have to become aware of our distortions, and we have to question our distortions. Whenever you find yourself in an emotionally difficult state, an emotionally disempowered state, and you're feeling frustration and anger and insecurity, and you're feeling victimized, and you're feeling defeated, and you're feeling like quitting, and you're feeling like saying something out of your anger, or responding, or vengeful. You're having all of these feelings burning inside of you. When you feel that, understand that you may be viewing the situation through a distorted lens. Stop, interrupt your pattern, go for a walk, go for a drive, do a workout, do something different, interrupt the pattern, break the conversation, watch a movie, and come back questioning your own distortions. Questioning your distortions. So here are the 4 great questions that helped me personally. This is not something that I have perfected. This is a journey. I need to be reminded of this. We'll all need to be reminded of this. I want you to get these questions down packed, use them, practice them when you're feeling emotionally disempowered, disenfranchised, disrespected, whatever you're feeling in your emotions that is disempowering you, making you want to quit, making you want to lash out, whatever it is, interrupt your pattern, do something different, and question your distortions. Wait, sometimes 24 hours before you respond. Read the letter again tomorrow. Don't respond to the letter now. You're probably seeing it through the lens of a distortion. Put it down, interrupt your pattern, and come back to it, questioning your own distortions. So the most powerful question you could ask is, what else could this mean? That's powerful. What else could this mean? In other words, it might not mean what I think it means. It could mean something else. What else could this mean? So we got the guy in the lift. You said hello. He hasn't said anything back to you. He hasn't even looked at you, or he's looked at you and said nothing. What else could this mean? Does it mean he doesn't respect you? Does it mean he doesn't like you? Does it mean that he's antisocial? It could mean that, but what else could it mean? And because if you start exploring, okay, you've tried to call someone, they haven't answered your call. You've texted them, you've WhatsApped them, and they're 2 blue ticks. So they've seen it, but they still haven't responded. Now you're You're angry. You're upset. You're getting ready to send them a text and say, you are deliberately ignoring me. Stop. Interrupt your pattern. Do something else. Come back to it. Question your distortions. What else could this mean? Because it could mean something else. Could mean the person is driving. Could mean it could mean the person is going to answer you back at a more convenient and appropriate time. Could mean the person's had a heart attack and is being rushed to a hospital. You don't know what it means. So instead of getting yourself in a state, ask yourself, what else could this mean? So that you can approach it with a more resourceful emotional state. Top right, what would need to be true in order to justify me feeling this way? This is one of the most powerful questions I ask myself if I find myself in an emotional state. What would need to be true in order to justify me feeling this way? So I might be feeling really, really nervous and fearful about something that hasn't even happened, but I think it's going to happen, based on maybe something someone said. So the question is, what would need to be true in order to justify me feeling this way? And it will surprise you, the answers that will flow into your mind. Because in many cases, for you to feel the way you're feeling right now, it would need to be true that there is no God, that he's not on your side, that he's not looking out for you, that he's not helping you, that he's not going to help you, that that no one loves you, and that everything is about to fall apart. That would need to be true to justify the way that you're feeling, to legitimize the way that you're feeling. And since none of that is true, then these are illegitimate feelings, and you can begin to deal with them, because what would need to be true in order for me to feel so fearful is not true. I hope that helps someone. Number 3, bottom left, what is the spiritual significance of this experience? So as people of faith, we see things in a spiritual frame, and we try to remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are heavenly beings trafficking through earth. We have a covenant relationship with God. We have purpose in this life and destiny. We have gifts, we have callings, we have promises from a God who cannot lie. So, and one of those promises is that we know that all things are working together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. So what is the spiritual significance of this experience? Is God trying to show me something, teach me something, reposition me, move me into a new space? Because that can help you overcome the negativity in your and the toxicity in your emotion. That's clearly what Joseph did when he said, why am I here? Why am I in Egypt? Is there a spiritual significance to this? Maybe there's a spiritual reason why my brothers rejected me, and why Potiphar's wife accused me, and why I'm in prison here. And maybe there's a spiritual significance to this. Number 4, what is life teaching me through this experience? Because remember, the great teacher in your life is your life. Your life is teaching you now everything you need to know about your future. You are learning today lessons that will support your success tomorrow. The mystery of your destiny is in the history of your story. So life is teaching you. God is teaching you through the experiences of your life. And sometimes you have to realize this isn't a crisis, this is a lesson. This is not a disappointment or a setback or a failure, this is a lesson. This is not an abandonment, a sabotage, or a betrayal, this is a lesson. And when you start thinking of it that way, you start to deliver yourself from the toxicity of disempowering emotions that prevent you from focusing on what's really important to you. your goals, your dreams, your destiny, your tasks. So this has been a very powerful lesson tonight.
Attention, God's entrepreneurs. Did you know that there is a success system deeply hidden and encoded in the stories of the Bible? The system works 100% of the time for people who work it, even if they work it unconsciously or not realizing its spiritual roots. Join the Business Bishop for a masterclass in God's success system and discover how to turn your opportunities into outcomes, your ideas into incomes, and your passion into profits. The Success Streams Masterclass includes step-by-step training on the system and comes with additional bonus courses by the Business Bishop. Perhaps you've tried everything else. Now try God's way and watch the same power that took Israel from slavery to mastery take you from the pain of poverty to the pinnacles of prosperity. Are you ready? Click the link in the description to find out more or to secure your seat.
Hey there, entrepreneurs! If you enjoy the teachings of Bishop Wayne Malcolm, I've got something amazing for you. Introducing the New Breed Community, an exclusive online platform for kingdom-conscious entrepreneurs, professionals, investors, and creators. This isn't just a community, it's a movement where we discuss and explore kingdom concepts. Here, kingdom-minded people connect, share, learn, and grow together. Inside, you'll find exclusive content from Bishop Wayne Malcolm, including special sessions just for members. And the best part? It's free to join. The New Breed Community sits on the Heartbeat platform, where Bishop Wayne Malcolm is excited to meet you online. Join us for weekly Q&A sessions with Bishop Wayne and get exclusive insights that can transform your life. Love to read? Join our book club to feed your mind and spirit. Got a prayer request? Post it and let's lift each other up. Have a testimony? Share how God's goodness is shining in your life. We're more than just a community, we're a movement. Discover the powerful relationship between your profession and your purpose. Join us now on the Heartbeat platform. Connect with us and let's grow together. Bishop Wayne Malcolm and the New Breed Community are waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Hit that join button and step into a world of connection and growth. A warm welcome awaits you. See you on the inside.
Yo, it's time to rise, wake up from your sleep. Bishop Wayne's got the guidance, the wisdom runs deep. Subscribe and like, let's spread this truth loud. Comment, share it wide, let's stand tall, be proud. Kingdom coaching, we got the plan. Success principles, grab a hold and take a stand. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive. Elevate your mind, shift that identity. In the marketplace of life, claim your clarity. Rule in the midst of the trials and the gloom. With faith as your armor, watch blessings consume. Stand firm, be bold, let your light be known. With each step forward, you'll claim your throne. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive.